Hi everyone and welcome back to the podcast. So today is my first episode of hosting, which is very exciting. So today we've got our first female guest, so we're here for the women, and our guest today is Jess Gould. So Jess Gould is a business and mindset mentor. So today we're talking about everything in terms of mentality, how it impacts, how it can make us propel forward, how it can hinder us, and her top tips and recommendations and guidance of how to navigate through all of that to make sure we are absolutely winning. So we can apply everything that we've said and everything that we speak about to business, fitness, you name it. You can apply it through all walks of life. So stay tuned and I hope you enjoy the episode. So welcome back to the podcast. Today we've got our first female guest and my first solo kind of interviewing. So welcome to Jessica Gould.
Thank you.
So we've got Jess on the podcast today. Do you want me to call you Jess or Jessica?
Whatever you prefer, Jess.
Jess. Comes naturally, it's just Jess, so we'll go with Jess. So today we've got Jess on the podcast. Like I say, she's our first female interviewee, which is very exciting. You're doing it for the girls?
Yes, for the girls.
So we'll just jump straight in. So for anyone who doesn't know yet, give us a bit of a background, who you are, what it is that you do, and we'll just get a flavour of everything from there.
Amazing. So yes, thank you so much for having me. So I'm Jess. I'm a business and mindset coach, and I help female-led business owners. So basically what I do, women who are on a mission to make more impact, grow the business, and who want to thrive rather than survive, I help them get there. Mm-hmm. And the more that I speak with people, like, it's not about the money, it's not about just making more money, it's about what your purpose is. Yeah. And freedom is just a huge thing that people strive for. So the bigger picture of why I do it is because people want to have more time with the family. People want to work from anywhere in the world. And some people just want that extra bit of financial abundance to go on those luxury holidays. Yeah. So the big thing that I do is, in a nutshell, is help people grow the business, grow the mindsets, and also help them work towards their purpose.
Amazing. So basically you're like a magic wand for helping people level up, which is what we're all here for.
I try.
So in terms of everything that you've said, obviously a lot of that is about helping people and what have you. So is that helping people at the stage where they've already started the business, or people who have got the idea and want to kind of grow that seed?
Yeah, so I mainly work with business owners who are already a business owner, who already have the first few clients, and I work with people scaling up to multi-6, 7-figure businesses. I have helped people before start up as well, so it really is a mixture of different people in who I help with.
Oh, lovely. That must be nice though, seeing different people's journeys and help them get through each of those stages.
Honestly, Aston, it is the best feeling ever, because a lot of people think when I get here I'll be fine. It's not. It's it's a new level, new devil. Every time you're reaching a new level, you feel stuck and you don't know how to get past it, and then time gets in the way, and then money gets in the way, and there is just so many new levels that people get to and they don't know how to get past it.
Yeah, so, it's never linear, is it?
Never linear.
So in terms of your journey and everything like that, obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, actually, Jess was a big part of my journey as well as to where I'm at now, which is exciting. So when you mentioned about helping people start up, that was in the early days, wasn't it, of your business? I was actually one of your first clients in that part of your journey as well. So when I was taking the leap from social work to even just starting up as a sideline for the coaching, you were a massive influential part of that, and I can't thank you enough. And from there you've just boomed, and obviously life is so different for both of us now, and that's all credit to you from my part of it, because if it weren't for you I wouldn't have made that leap when I made that leap, and obviously when I made that leap it all just aligned for me. So yeah, it's just amazing.
Aston, and I think you say that, but it was genuinely you.
Yeah, but
you did the work, you did the action, you made all the decisions yourself. And sometimes it's you've got all the ideas, and the moment that you have that idea and that belief in yourself, like that's when people start taking action. So I was so privileged to have you, because you was literally a star student that practiced everything and did everything. And it is crazy when you put your mind to something, you can get these unreal results, which is exactly what you did. So it was you that did all the work.
It's just like anything in life though, isn't it? Like I guess even with online coaching, like you give people the tools, and if they've got the backbone to actually put the tools to work, no matter whether that's business coaching, whether it's online coaching, fitness wise or whatever, it is one of those things. You give them the tools and then they implement them, and you give them the belief and everything like that in between, and off they pop, and then they get the results if they put the plan into action.
Couldn't agree more. Like people sometimes like want to be fixed.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do for those people. That's why when people know exactly what the other person should be doing if they're in a situation or if they're struggling, if that person doesn't want to be helped and they just want to feel better by sympathy, that person's going to stay there. Whereas if somebody actually wants to make the decision to move forward, and they have that shift in the mindset to say, no, I am going to work towards here. I don't know all the answers yet, but I'm going to go here.
Yeah.
You know, that's where you see results, because you're going to do the work yourself. And as a coach who loves to serve other people and who loves to give the tools and an extra bit of skill set, you'll get there 10 times quicker than doing it yourself.
Exactly, because you've already got like the proven methods, and you have the expertise, so you're taking out those potential teething problems. Yes, they might still happen because life happens, but it's eliminating that trial and error, isn't it? And so it's getting there a lot quicker and a lot safer as well in many respects, and that safety element of it all is a huge part of it for people, isn't it? Because it's a risk, it's business. Life is a risk.
The whole life is a risk. Even when you get in your car, it's a risk.
Exactly.
You know, everything you do, it's just our own resilience of what we deem to be a risk and what our underlying fears are. Like if you've got a huge fear of failure, or people judging you, or being rejected, or conflict, or anything like that, or primal fears, you won't do certain things, and you sabotage yourself to move forward. And understanding that, and understanding what your primal fears are, what's stopping you. Like when we did yours, you had primal fears. Everybody does. We're literally human. Once you understand that, you can be like, it's not all about me. This is an emotion I'm feeling. This is just something that is going on in my head because this is what I believe, and this is actually, if I overcome this, I can do whatever I want.
Literally. Because it's like anything, isn't it? Like they could come to you for coaching, for example, but just having a coach doesn't get you to where you want to be. You have to actually be ready to put actions into place and actually be ready to do it. It's like with me having an online coach, having a plan in your inbox, that doesn't get you the results. So it's the same as you, I guess, in your coaching.
Exactly that.
Oh God, it's exciting really, because it's changing people's lives. Obviously it's the business side of it, but it's changing their life as well, isn't it, for them and the others around them as well.
100%.
So obviously you're in this world now. You were in the corporate world previously, and a few other things in between. You've had your finger in a few different pies before you've got here. So give us a little bit of background information as to kind of where your journey started, I guess, and how it led to where you are now.
Okay, so where do I start?
Because it's really inspirational to see, because some people will just see that you're flying, you're smashing it, you're doing really well, but obviously it's exciting for people to see where you actually started from, to then allow them to think, no, I can do that, that's amazing.
Definitely. So I actually, just going way back to like late teens and early 20s, I was actually never one of those people who would say I want my own business. And I think some people assume that from when you're born that you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to be a business owner. Not for me. I was really happy just working. I came from a working class family background. Money, of course, was always tight because it's the working class background, hand to mouth. And I just got told, work hard, you might get a promotion. That was it. It was be happy, don't focus too much, and just do what you want to do. So that's what I did, and I spent actually a lot of early years, instead of going to university, dropped out of college. I actually just wanted to travel. That was the biggest thing for me. So I became a holiday rep and did a few seasons abroad. So whilst everybody was at university, I got a lot of life skills, and I got the skill to sell. And I think when you have a skill to sell, you can go very far in life. So I did that. And then I came back and I thought, just get a sales job. You know, once you're in sales, it's what you do. I'll get a sales job. Little did I know that I was going to be there for 8 years. And I was there for a long, long time. I think just over 8 years actually. And I just started climbing the corporate ladder. Yeah. And I think a lot of people can relate to that's what you must do. You know, if you're in this, if you don't have a skill set, if you haven't been to university, then just climb the corporate ladder. And that is fine for some people, can I just say, like, there is nothing actually
and amazing
wrong with that.
As well, because it's a massive step forward, isn't it, when people are doing that?
Yeah, 100%. There is nothing wrong with that. But for me, I actually reached to the top where I couldn't go any higher. I became a director. And I was overseeing a lot of people, between 50 to 85 people, and it was a big responsibility, and I loved it. I'm not gonna lie, I genuinely really loved it. But there was something in the back of my mind. I would be everybody's cheerleader to go and set up their own business. Yeah. I would be everybody's wing woman to say go and do it, you know. And then I thought to myself one day, something doesn't feel right, and I had a feeling of being trapped. Yeah. The thought of me being in that job, in that office for the next 10 years was not sitting right for me, and it does for some people, and that's fine. For me, it wasn't. I wanted more. Yeah. And I didn't want to set up a product-based business, and I realised what I'm actually very good at and why we got such good results there was because I served other people, and if I could coach other people and get them to become the expert, if I could pick people's mind and get them thinking differently, we ended up having like 150% increase year on year. Like the growth of the business, it was an 8-figure business, it was a big business, and the growth was huge. And I did that with a mentor myself. I got mentored for years, and I thought to myself, I'm ready to move on. Yeah. I want to help other people. I want to serve other people grow their business, because every time someone spoke to me about their team, or everyone spoke to me about setting up a new business, I knew the strategy was my job, to understand the strategy and to grow a business. So took the plunge.
Oh, brilliant. Here I am. Or have you looked back?
No, not back.
Oh, love it. But it's so inspirational, because you've mentioned obviously dropping out of college, not going to uni, that kind of thing. And I think some people just think that you have to follow that natural path of life of what society kind of embeds into us. But I'm not saying drop out of college, everyone, but it's just one of those things, isn't it, that it just shows that if you think outside the box, that's probably where the most creative kind of thoughts come from, and the most influential actions come from, when you are thinking outside the box, as opposed to thinking on that linear path that society embeds for us.
I couldn't agree more. And I think when it comes to education, if your brain works that way for education, that's great. And I'm not saying it's easy for everybody. I know people who work so hard at university. But when you are more of a doer, and you do things by action, you do things by learning, you're made to feel stupid, you're made to feel, not intelligent, and that really has a knock-on effect from a very early age. I used to think, because I didn't get the best grades, but I would get good grades in the doing and the action, the art and the creative side of things. I thought to myself, I'm not intelligent. Yeah. For a long time I thought that, and I would never speak about this until I did the work to think that was a belief I had about myself, and why I couldn't get to where I am. Yeah. And that holds so many people back, when they don't think they're intelligent enough or smart enough to do something. Yeah. Your brain works in different ways, and if you find the way that your brain works, you can unlock so much.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that that's to anything in life, isn't it? Whether that be education, employment, fitness, like, you name it, you can apply it to everything. If you've got a belief that you're not fit, if you've got a belief that you're never going to be that runner, you're never going to be that entrepreneur, you're never going to be, I don't know, next vice president or whatever it may be, like, you're never going to even put the actions in place to try and get there, So it's massive, that belief system, and that's where it all falls down to the mindset, doesn't it? And I guess that's where you come in.
It is, it's key. But the mindset for any growth, and I think mindset's a really broad word, you know, like what even is mindset?
Yeah, that
you know,
is true.
like what even is it? What does it mean when people say like you need to work on your mindset? Like what does that even mean? And it's different for every single person, because our assumption on what a good or healthy mindset should be is different, and it's nuanced for every single person. And I think the biggest thing in the growth side of stuff and taking the action is just understanding what's actually holding you back. And if you can be aware of that, you can then move forward. Like we live our life through our subconscious. 95% of our brain is unconscious, it's subconscious. We're not even aware of our actions, from our breathing, from when we digest, from when we say something, how we say something. Like we live in an unconscious world, more so than others. Once you become really aware of what you're doing, that's when you can really start taking action, and that's when you can be like, hang on, I've been telling myself this for years. And once you catch that, you can actually move forward with it.
Yeah, because then you can change it or adapt it or whatever it needs to be. Or maybe not change that about yourself, but change your actions to work around and navigate around that.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant. So I guess you kind of already spoken briefly and touched on briefly, like one of the questions that I was going to ask for you was, what are the common barriers for holding people back, whether it be holding people back in business, starting the business, growing the business? Like what are the common themes that you see? Because you must see them daily.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that holds people back, I think a lot of people on the top surface would say, I've just not got enough time.
Yeah.
Not got enough money. It's not the right time. Which is valid. I'm not saying that they don't. Not saying that they don't. But beneath all of that, we have primal fears. Everybody has them. They're from the primal days to keep us safe, our flight and fight brain. We have a fear of judgment, because if we're judged, we're going to get kicked out of the pack. And that, in essence, could mean death. You know, back in the old days.
Yeah.
We have a fear of failure, because if we fail, then another pack could overtake us, and again, we'd die. It all leads to death.
Great. Great mindset, guys.
Conflict. We have a fear of conflict.
Yeah.
We have a fear of rejection, because if we're rejected, it's the same thing. And every single person has this, some more than others, some less than others, but the way that we're brought up and whichever, we have these big fears. So I think the biggest thing that holds anybody back in starting something that they actually want to start, because if they don't want to do it, then that's fine. If they actually do want to start something or level up, I guarantee you it will be a fear of one of those, and followed by that, the belief in themselves and their own self-worth to do it.
Yeah, I completely resonate with that, because I remember taking myself back to when I wanted to start. It was pretty much all of those that you just mentioned, from the primal fears of fear of judgment, fear of kind of, not rejection necessarily, but the judgment side is massive, isn't it? Especially even more so in this day and age, because everything we do in business or in life, really, to be successful in business, everything has to be social media. So there's a lot of eyes on you, irrespective of where you're actually at personally. For a business to grow, you have to be on social media, let's be honest. And so there's a lot of eyes on you, which is a lot of opportunity for judgment, if that is what your primal fear is. So totally resonate with that and totally understand that. But obviously you were there to help me overcome those barriers and help me work on that, and that's obviously a big part of your work, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what are the like kind of tips that you could give to people, like to get over those little barriers? Little barriers, big barriers, however.
First of all, going back to the social media, like that is the most unnatural thing for anybody to get on the camera. It's so unnatural, and instantly it's not just your tribe anymore, it's the world. So that's a really unnatural feeling. It's a big one that people want to overcome. But some tips on working on moving yourself forward, and if you want to get to a place and you don't think it's possible right now, genuinely the first step is just becoming aware of your limited beliefs. It's just becoming aware of a persistent thought that you're having. So a great question to ask is, when you're thinking of doing something, what's the thought that comes second? And write that down. So if the thought is, oh, I can't do that, I've not got time right now, I don't have enough money to start it, just write down what that belief is that you have. That's the biggest part in figuring out what's actually holding you back.
Yeah.
Because what you do then is bring it to your awareness. You're now aware of what's actually holding you back. The second step is then working on your own self-worth and your own self-belief. Because if you don't believe you can do something on a subconscious level, you're not going to do it. And you'll self-sabotage yourself by being really indecisive, by getting overwhelmed really quickly, by procrastinating, by being so much of a perfectionist, nothing is perfect right now. All of those self-sabotaging mechanisms is underlying because you are scared of something bigger. So genuinely the biggest part is understanding what yours is, and then leaning in towards that. Practicing gratitude, being grateful for what you've already accomplished, because I guarantee people have accomplished a lot already.
I think even just having those thoughts and having those like kind of niggling thoughts sometimes at the back of your mind is massive for some people, isn't it? Because that in itself is 3 steps forward than where you were at perhaps 2 months ago or whatever it may be. So it's acknowledging those little things, because without those little things you're never going to get to the big things.
They say that a really good test that I did to myself was at the end of the day, or through the day, depends on how busy you are, write down all the thoughts that you remember that you've had, and I can guarantee you that 60% of the thoughts that you've had that day are negative.
Really?
You talk bad about yourself, you blame yourself, you kick yourself, you'd say things that you'd never say to anybody else.
And
there's
in your head, you mean?
In your mind and your thoughts. We have over 60,000 thoughts a day, so it's a lot of thoughts. You won't be able to write them all down. But
I feel like I probably have like a million.
So try and write them down, and that is a really good step to that first step, awareness. If you can see how you've been talking to yourself, oh my gosh, it will open your mind and say, why am I beating myself up so much? Because if you can figure that out, that's when you can start to love yourself, accept yourself. Like, that's when you can actually start to think, wow, like I am beating myself up right now. And if you can work on it, sounds cheesy and it sounds corny, but the reason why people say it so much, it's true. If you can actually start to love yourself and accept yourself, you can start to do so much more in your life.
I like that. I think I'm going to try that maybe tomorrow.
Do it.
Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. No, I'm joking, because when people say that, that means that you're not actually going to do it. So I'll do it today, because I think it is massive, isn't it? Because it's like we just mentioned earlier, once you know what you're thinking, that's when you know what you need to turn on its head, or what you need to try and tweak and what have you, and adapt. And I think that once you've kind of realised what it is that you are thinking daily, because the more you think something, the more you're embedding it and the more you're encouraging it. So it's just that ripple effect, isn't it? So I love that. Once you know what you're thinking, know what you're saying to yourself, you can work on changing it and then move that forward and believing in yourself. So once you believe in yourself, then you can action stuff. Whereas if you don't truly believe in yourself, but you're still doing the do, is it actually going to be the level that it can be, I guess?
It's like when business owners say that they want to increase the prices, and they know that they want to increase the prices because they know that they're doing more than what they should, but they don't believe in it themselves. So then lo and behold, when they increase the prices, everyone is complaining. Nobody does appreciate it, nobody does anything, because on a subconscious level they don't believe in it themselves. So it comes across like that, like it's so incredible. Like if you genuinely don't believe in something yourself, it comes across like that in your body language, in the words, like you're hesitant on doing something. So that genuinely, if you can believe in yourself wholeheartedly, you don't even need to know all the answers to everything, you don't need to know the full roadmap of how to get there, you will just do it.
And I find it really interesting, everything that you're saying, because obviously you're coming from it as a business perspective, but everything that you're saying, I'm kind of thinking of it with two hats. And obviously I'm thinking of it as a business owner myself. I'm thinking how I'd apply that to myself, but I'm also thinking, do you know what, everything you're saying is also what I try to practice and encourage with my clients in terms of the fitness world, because it's everything. It's like they're checking in and they're saying, I'm like, you've done amazing this week, that's really good, look at your pictures, you can see lots of lost the body fat here and blah blah, and like, but I'm still not there yet, I've still got such, and I'm like, yeah, I get that, and we can still work towards that. We've got loads of tools left in the bag, etc, etc. But if you've done this already in such a short time frame, we've still got 12 weeks left on the plan, so look at what we can achieve even more so. And it's like reminding them of actually, look at what you have achieved, look what you can do, and building that positivity up. So it's basically like, you've got all this list of negative thoughts, you've got a few positives, so it's basically trying to take some from here, flip them on the head and top this side up and make it more weighted on the positive side. Because
so right.
if you're just constantly thinking yeah but, then really the but's going to be a lot heavier, and then you're not necessarily going to put your whole into it for the next week of your program or whatever it may be, because you've always got that but there. Whereas if you're like, yeah, I can do this, I can do it, you're going to give it 110%. So it does apply to everything.
It's that self-love. It's if they're kicking themselves all the time, you know, I've not done well enough, I've not done this, you're actually never going to be present either. Like, you're always going to be living in the future or the past. And that in itself, like, you don't want to be in that place, because if you're not just proud of yourself that you didn't want to go to the gym and you went to the gym, like, you should give yourself a little high five, because that's harder than when you are motivated.
Yeah.
Like, that's so much harder.
Yeah.
So, and that is that negative thought, flipping that to a positive, you're more likely to do that again next time. When it seems harder, you'll go again. Yeah. Because you're not kicking yourself.
Yeah, no, it is. It's interesting. I've definitely got two hats on right now, and I'm definitely like, my brain's like, what? So obviously everything you've said so far has been very much kind of generic and what have you, but tell us like the interesting stuff. Not that it's not been interesting what we've already said, but tell us the interesting stuff in terms of the stuff that you do with your clients. What's like your biggest success story, for example, if you can, obviously without naming names, I'm sure. But
no, yeah, so I work with different clients, and some of them I work with a few that are 7 figures above, and then I work in between, a few in between, and then majority are the ones that are starting up in the scaling. They're like the bread and the butter. And I think for success stories, and I think when it comes to like the business side of things, like a lot of people just think revenue. And yes, you know, we've scaled, you know, one client went from 2k months to 10k months, you know, like that's unbelievable for her. We've had launches selling out courses for 16, 20 grand, you know, and the revenue ones are fantastic. But genuinely, like, the biggest changes that we have are when people are behind themselves and believe in themselves and can move forward. Yeah. Like, that is the best success for me. When a client messages me and they're like, and you're probably having the same with your clients, like, oh my gosh, I've just done this. Yeah. Because we like to serve, we're coaches, we like to serve. That is the best gratitude and the more success that I can have when people have actually done something they never thought they could have. Yeah, because they're the ones that are actually life-changing. Like, obviously, the revenue side of it is life-changing for various different reasons, but the ones where they can do something and actually realise that, do you know what, that thought of what I used to have, that's not me anymore. They've overcome that thought that they think that this person that'll never be able to do X, Y and Z, they can start knocking that down and start actually chipping away at that and realising, no, I can actually do that and stuff. And it's nice because it is literally life-changing. It sounds so corny and cheesy like you said earlier, but it is. It honestly is. And like, when people are going from transitioning from, say, being a salon owner, and they finally want to take a step back from the chair and they actually have that time with the family, like, that's more of a success to me than somebody reaching their revenue goals. Yeah. Like, that freedom that I was talking about at the beginning, if I can get a client from being a yoga instructor and then going online to then being able to travel wherever I want in the world whilst helping people, whilst they're getting incredible results for other people, that to me, like, is the biggest success. Yeah, definitely, because it's like you said earlier, everyone's in their own different journey, aren't they? So it's like, whatever people's goals are, helping them achieve it, whether it be gaining more financial kind of revenue or gaining more freedom or both. So some people genuinely just want financial abundance to get all the luxury items, and I'm all for that. Yeah. Like, girl, if you want to do that, please do, because some people will say, I just want to work a countless amount of hours. I'm not bothered. I've got the time right now. Let's just smash it because I want to get to this point.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine as
And
well.
sometimes you have to do that, don't you, to then reap the rewards later on in terms of the freedom aspect of it. Build the business up, graft now, do the hustle, do the do, and then eventually you can grow to a stage where you can start to take a step back whilst the business is still growing in the background and providing that income. And I guess everybody's mapping is very different, isn't it? As to
yeah, like when it comes to growing income, like there's always different stages of business. So there's always the people who are setting up and their main focus. So there's 3 or 4 arches. The people who are just setting up, their prime focus needs to be marketing and their offer, because if you had no marketing and you only had a service, is it good enough that people are going to recommend it to begin with? So that's what people need to focus on to get the clients through the door. Then after that, the next arch, so maybe you're fully booked now and you're getting busy, you're doing well, everyone's recommending you. Then after that, it's a team. Like the team side is the next part, and where people stay stuck. They're in a habit all the time. They're constantly they don't know where to go, and they're leading everything themselves because they haven't got a team behind them. Leading a team, finding a team is the next challenge.
Oh, and what's the third tier then?
And the third tier is data. So at the beginning of your business, you're probably tracking your leads coming in, the sales that you're getting, the conversion, or you're probably tracking just the revenue side of things. The top end, like if you are trying to break through to multi-6 and above, track your data. It's probably the most boring thing because no one wants to track data. No. But the analytics side, remove all the emotions away from the business. It's not how you feel, it's not how your intuition anymore, which probably served you for a long time at the beginning. But eventually you need to now be looking at every single form of analytic that is coming through your business and have a team to do that. Like when on the 8-figure business that I used to work in before, we had like 50 KPIs, probably more, running all the time that people could manage. And it gets boring at that point. Like genuinely, making an extra £100,000 in a month is easier than at the beginning. Yeah. Because you're just finiting data all the time, tweaking, rinsing and repeating. It's pretty boring. But that is what gets results, consistency all the time. Yeah. So the last part is data, and then it's just rinsing and repeating everything else.
And that's the big thing though, isn't it? Because it's you've kind of touched on something that's massive in business or massive in anything. It's doing the groundwork at the beginning, because then once you've done that, you've found out, and I'm applying this now to coaching as well myself on the fitness side, you found out what works for you, you found out what does the good results, what gets the good results, you found out what responds well, and then you just rinse, repeat, tune it along the way as things start to progress, tune things. You can tap into extra tools as things progress and change, and that's where all the hard work comes in though, isn't it? I'm not saying it doesn't get harder as you get bigger, but it is where all the hard work comes in, because you're finding out what the kind of what ticks and what doesn't tick really.
Definitely, and you'll know from your clients, like data is everything.
Oh yeah.
You know, like data speaks volumes because you're removing that emotional aspect from the side. Like you're just removing everything away, and those tiny marginal gains are the things that get big results. Like people want the magic pill to be a millionaire, or people want the magic pill to go and leave the job and start a new business, or to lose weight, and there's not. It's marginal gains all stacked up on each other that get the big result. Yeah. And a lot of people don't want to hear that because they see things on social media like get rich in 30 days or lose weight in 20 days, and it's just not one sustainable. Yeah. It'll crack. Everything will crack if you've not got the foundations. You've not got something long term.
Definitely. So in terms of everything that you do with your clients, obviously business and mindset, everything has an underpinning thing. So obviously they can do the actions that you say, everything like that. What is it that actually holds everything together in terms of having that positive mindset? So obviously if they've not got you in their life, what are the main kind of recommendations or good things that people can do on the daily?
So I really do not promote false positivity. And I think especially for women.
And what do you mean by that?
I'm fine. Yeah. And you're pushing your actual feelings to the side. And there is a balance here, like to to have that consistency and to keep going. But like for one, I don't promote that false positivity where you just push everything down, because especially women, we've learned to repress a lot, and men's main emotion is anger, and I'm speaking broadly here, and then of course sadness after. And women's main emotion is sadness, and we repress anger. Men repress sadness, in broad terms. So genuinely, I think the first thing is understanding that every single emotion you have is completely normal. Sadness, anger, stress, like all of that is a normal emotion to begin with, and you shouldn't be questioning yourself when that comes up. Happiness is an emotion, and so is sadness. It's the same thing. But I think one is just understanding that is fine, and if you are feeling sad, that's fine as well. And just lean into your emotion rather than repressing them down, and one day you're just going to blow up. For one. And then I think the second is not relying, when it comes to your mindset and your growth mindset, is understanding what a growth mindset is. That's the goal, because if anyone just says I have a positive mindset, that's actually quite a closed mindset to say, because it's saying that you never have any negative thoughts when you do. Like, you know, I did my documentation, 50% of my thoughts was negative, so it's you do. And I think a big thing is with the, if you don't have a coach, it's for one, stimulating your mind, and definitely the gym, exercise, whatever you're doing, that stimulation is going to get your blood flowing, it's going to get you active. Like, there's so many studies that talk about exercise in the gym and your mental well-being. The second one is journaling, and even if you're not a big journaler, just write in the morning, how do I feel today? How do I want to feel by the end of the day? And what do I need to do to achieve that? Those 3 questions can get you getting curious about how you're feeling and what you're doing. Another one, of course, coaching and having somebody to go with you. But then another one as well is like podcasts and books. Like, if you don't have the budget to have a coach, expand your own mindset by listening to the podcasts, by reading the books, by even doing a course of self-development. The big goal here to change any frame of mind and to level up, like, is a growth mindset. Is to remove your ego to the side. You don't know everything. It's to surrender, it's to love yourself, it's to be grateful, it's to practice gratitude. Like, and if you can get to a place, in my opinion, if you can get to a place of grounded energy where you're not chasing the future all the time, you're not thinking of all the mistakes that you've made, you're a place where you're content but driven, and discipline drives you, not motivation, that is a really good place to be, because you're going to be just very consistent. I like that, and I like how you've explained each of those as well, because we can often see things on Instagram where it's like, oh, let's all do journaling, and if you don't actually do journaling, it can look a bit like hippy dippy and a bit like, oh, that's way too airy fairy for me, I'm not going to do that, I don't have time for that. But the fact that you've just brought that down into what it could actually look like logistically, like 3 questions a day, really everybody's got time for that. I've actually just started, I used to do journaling, and then I've time, life happened, blah blah blah. But I really found the benefits of it when I did do it, and thinking back to it now, I have literally just this week embedded it again in a very different way. So like in my training log, I'll put on there how my session felt, and if it felt shit, then I'll be like, do you know what, I'm going to make sure that next time I go in, i.e. today when I go in, I'm going to make sure that I think more about it and try and tweak that and change that. And I think that it's really good because you're just thinking about how you're feeling at different stages of the day, different stages of what you're doing, to then get the best out of it. So for example, with doing it with my training, I know that if I feel shit, I'm going to have a shit session. Well, not necessarily, sometimes it happens the other way, but I can then look at the data and see what actually did that mean for my training. I obviously want to train optimally and get the best out of everything. So knowing how I feel, knowing how that actually impacts on my actions and my outcomes is massive in training. But obviously you just spoke about it for business, which is massive as well. But that also applies to anything in life, doesn't it? It's like day-to-day life, how you're feeling. If you know how you feel, you know then how that sets you up for the rest of the day. If you wake up feeling ugh, then you think for the whole day, and then everything goes wrong coincidentally, because that's the way your thought process is. Oh, I love what you've just said. Like, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And you mentioned something before as well about airy fairy and like all that, and social media is full of manifest your future and it will come. You don't need to do anything. And manifestation, the science behind it is true.
Yeah.
It is true. Well, there's so much airy fairiness behind it that people, you know, don't want to do it because they just don't believe in that. And I think, like, when it comes to building, like, your mind and being so self-aware, like what you've just said there is extremely self-aware of what you're doing. Like, every day you're doing practices there that are challenging you, and you probably feel uncomfortable by doing them. But what you're doing there, when you're documenting every single time you're doing something, you have just challenged yourself and thought, okay, how can I get better? And through that, you're developing discipline, and that builds resilience. And then that, you are likely to do more than somebody else because you've built resilience over all that awareness and all that being uncomfortable. If you're always comfortable, you're not growing. And I'm not saying not to be uncomfortable because you've got to sometimes be in the present and be in the moment. But uncomfortable isn't bad. Uncomfortable is a sign of growth. Uncomfortable is, okay, like, this is actually the time to go to the gym when I am feeling at my worst, because I know that if I can do it today, I can do it any other day.
Oh, absolutely.
That's discipline. And like a big thing with mindset, actually, which I've not touched on, is the mindset and the body. So when you're saying there with your journal, like, how am I feeling today? That's the body. Like, if you wake up with a tight chest in the morning, if you wake up with a pit in your stomach, if you wake up with aching on your shoulders and your shoulders are feeling heavy, and you're actually walking around and the world feels heavy on you, that's your body that is reacting to something. And your body is basically like your second brain. It's so intelligent. Your body will be speaking a lot. So a really good tip, if there is anybody that is waking up with heaviness on the feelings, or like that anxiety or that gut feeling, just ask, what are you trying to protect me from? And actually lean in and speak to the emotion, because every emotion is trying to tell you something. Every emotion has been learned from a very young age, from the ages of 0 to 7, and it has been perceived in a way. So if you felt anxiety, you wouldn't have known it back in the time, but you would have developed that feeling that means risk. That means like something's going to happen, because it's triggering something to protect you from. Because again, back in the olden days, if we got that bit of anxiety, it's probably because we're thinking something's going to happen, which will lead to the worst. Same with the gut feeling. So you want to ask, like, what are you actually trying to protect me from? And actually just trying to listen to your body. And not a lot of people do that. We are so disconnected from our mind and our body. We think our mind has all the answers, and often our body is telling us before our mind. That's where intuition comes from. You know, like gut feeling.
A woman's intuition. It never fails us. We all know.
That's where that comes from. It's our body. And if you can connect with your body, then, oh my gosh, like, you could probably make such quicker moves in business, in life, in fitness, because you're understanding what you're actually feeling.
Rather than just trying to be, I think as women as well, we are quite stoic in nature. A lot of us women, we just do it. Like, we might be having a shit day, but do you know what? We have to do it. We have to go about it. We have to crack on. We have to pull our big girl knickers on and pull our pants up and get going. And I'm not saying we don't do that, because I do think that has got a lot of positives and a lot of good things come from that. But I think at the same time, it can be at our detriment if we're just doing the do and ignoring how we actually feel and what, like you've just mentioned, what our body's actually telling us. If we just carry on, crack on and keep going and keep pushing, sometimes we're working against what we should be working on.
Couldn't agree more. And if especially, you know, I think a big thing is, like, finding your purpose. When we're speaking about all of this, it's like, well, what do I want to work towards? And like, for me, it's like a purpose. And sometimes a purpose can just be a feeling. Like, that was the same for me. Like, my purpose, I just wanted to feel free. So I actually didn't know what I wanted, but I knew I wanted to feel free. Like, so a lot of people will be thinking, I just want to feel less stress. I just want to feel less overwhelmed. I just want to feel like I don't have anxiety anymore.
Or some people want to just feel. Some people don't feel. So a lot is actually, it's not like working out all these logistics and like, what do I actually do? It's actually, I want to feel more confident that I can get in front of a photo. I actually want to feel more confident that I can walk to work with my shoulders low and my chin high and get a promotion. Like, some people just want to feel a certain way.
So sometimes you don't need to know the answer, you just need to know how you want to feel, and then work on the body.
That's really true though, because flipping it back to the fitness side of stuff, I often speak with girls on consultation calls, on our check-ins or whatever, and I'm like, what are your goals? And then I'll have some girls and they'll be like, I want to be 10 stone. I'll have other girls and they're like, I want to feel amazing when I put that bikini on holiday. I do not want to feel how I felt on my last holiday. When I put that bikini on my last holiday, I felt so super conscious. I had to wear a cover up all the time. I wouldn't have any pictures unless I was in the water. I wouldn't have any pictures front on. I had to be stood on the side. I want to feel nice when I put that bikini on, feel nice when I look at the pictures, feel happy when I look at the pictures, as opposed to feel conscious, feel sad, feel upset or whatever. And the girls that have the feelings attached to their goals from the offset are genuinely 95% of the time the girls that achieve the results quicker, because they've got a reason that is so deep and resonated with them, as opposed to the girls who want to achieve a certain body weight or what have you. I'm not saying they don't get to it, they absolutely do, but you can just, there's a lot more passion there and a lot more discipline and a lot more motivation that's heavier. So I do try and unpick that with the girls to make sure that they have something deeper than just a number on the scales or whatever.
And you know, like what you've just said there, it's actually true in business sense. So nobody is selling like fitness services, or nobody is selling business coaching, mindset coaching. Like what we actually sell as service providers and product businesses is a feeling. Like we actually are selling emotions, because every time someone goes to purchase a Starbucks, or every time someone goes to purchase, goes on a shopping spree, or they buy a fitness plan or whatever, it's because they want to release an emotion with how they're feeling right now and exchange it for a new emotion. Everyone buys because there is an emotion driven by it to buy, like a pain, a struggle, a concern. And this could be, by the way, for millionaires. They still buy things to release an emotion, so it doesn't matter what level. So what you're saying there is those people are more in tune with how they're feeling, and they're thinking, no, I want to release this feeling, and that will create the discipline, the drive, that will create everything. Unless, and I don't know if you've experienced this before, but if somebody then doesn't, it always goes back down to the belief and the core fears of themselves.
Because they're stronger. Definitely.
And if they don't love themselves, or if they don't believe in their own, they'll go back to old habits.
100%. And that's what I was speaking about earlier, when like you can get those wins from people where they realise, actually, I had this really shit day. I was on my period, everything was down, life was throwing everything from left, right and centre, but I didn't go back to my old habits. I didn't then drive up to McDonald's. I actually went to the gym, got a good workout, released the endorphins, came back, felt miles better. And it's like, that in itself means more to me from my clients than it means from someone who loses 3-4 pounds in 1 week. Like, it's just massive, because you're like, because I never believe I was well proud of myself because I didn't do that. And I'm like, because you are not your habits. Like, you create your habits and you can create new ones. And that is like, I think I've gone off on a completely different tangent there, but I'm so passionate about that side of it that it just gets me excited, because I'm like, that is what we're here for.
Preach. I love that. Like, and even if you have a bad day and you do, go a little bit backwards, that's okay as well. Like, the biggest thing out of that is just realising and thinking, I'm going to change right now, not tomorrow. I'm going to change right now. You know what you said? It's, okay, that's fine. I had a little bit of a relapse. Let's get back on the horse.
Exactly. Because we are all human, aren't we? And I think that's a big part of it, going back to what you said earlier of like that false, what did you call it?
False positivity.
False positivity. I think that's massive. Like, especially again with social media, we're often like, I'm strong, I'm this, I'm that. I've smashed it this week with business. I've done this with business. I've done that with my fitness side of stuff, or whatever it may be. But then really, those healthy people internally are possibly actually more like, you know what, we've had a little bit of a wave this week, I've rode the wave, I'm here, I've survived the wave, I'm swimming.
In the coaching world, in the mindset world, they call it the dark night of the soul.
Okay.
And basically, like, everyone thinks like the mindset journey is really magical and holistical. Oh no, like, you go down, like you have to go down to go back up. You've got to remove some of these cobwebs of childhood, of what you've been through. Like, it's not therapy because it's forward thinking, but I would always suggest for people to get therapy, counselling. Like, you don't have to be broken to have therapy. No. You don't have to, there is nothing like that. Like, you don't have to be broken to have a coach. In fact, the best time to get a coach is when you're at a level where you understand that you're doing it for you now and you're not trying to be fixed. But the dark night of the soul, and you go down and you go deep into things, and you are probably sad for a good week, but you lean into that. And that's the biggest thing, because like the reason why we do that is because once you actually understand why you have anxiety every day, or why you've got that gut feeling every day, or why you are so afraid of conflict, or so afraid of being judged, there is a reason for it, there always is. And once you actually understand that, and it could be your ego, you know, it could be your ego telling you things, and once you build a relationship with your shadow, your inner child and all of that, that's hard. Like that is not floaty like stuff, that's really hard. And still doing it now, it's a journey. Like, I go through ups and downs all the time, but when I'm down, I still take everyday action. I still work. But I just accept that, okay, I'm feeling a bit sad today. It doesn't mean that I'm going to eat ice cream and be on the sofa. I'm still going to take everyday action. But I'm sad, and that's okay.
It doesn't mean like your business is going to come crashing down.
Mean it's going to crash down.
I like that. But I think it is, the false positivity is a massive thing nowadays, isn't it? And I fall into that trap. It is one of those things, because you think, no, if I'm going to be a businesswoman, I have to work till 2 o'clock in the morning, I have to say yes to everyone, I have to respond within seconds, I have to do this. And sometimes if it's at the detriment to yourself, like you soon realise, don't you, that like, no, wait, I need some recharge, I need some reset, I need to just look after myself, because cliche, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You genuinely can't. And I think any business owner will have learned that you can. Anyone who's on a fitness journey will have learned that you can. You have to look after yourself before you can actually move forward. You can.
100%.
It's a huge part of it. So I'm just mindful of time. We've chatted for ages. I knew we'd get to this point. I knew we'd literally be like this. So Andy will be like editing it out like, oh God, shut up, girls. But I'm going to take us on to a really good question that I like, that came through from Instagram actually, that was recognition of you having a coach yourself. So obviously you're a business coach, you're a mindset coach, but you have a coach yourself. So what are the benefits of that? Because obviously people would see you as, well, you're an expert, you do it day in, day out, so why would you waste your time, why would you waste your money on that when you already know it? Like, what's that about for you?
Great question. I think I'm a serial investor. Like, I love to invest. Personal development for me and business coaching is genuinely a no-brainer. I've actually had coaches for a year now, and I've taken my first break. It's only been a 2-week break, but I'm getting my first I'm getting another coach again in like a month or so. So this is actually my first break that I'm experiencing. But for me, investing in coaches, you move so much faster with a coach. You could have the answers, you could know exactly what to do. Even a coach could be telling you or giving you advice, and you know the advice already. But what that does, it challenges your mindset, it expands your mindset. Like, having a coach, how often do you actually speak about yourself in that area that you want to develop in? Not a lot. So you actually have that time, instead of speaking to your partner about it, you actually have somebody to go and speak to something about, to challenge you and to give you a different perspective of things. And I talk a lot about like expanding your mindset and stretching your mindset. If I can be with somebody once a week, twice a week, who is going to stretch my mindset a little bit more, challenge me a little bit more, get me thinking a little bit differently, I'm going to move so much faster in the space of a year than anybody else. That's why I do it. And I pay high prices for my coaching. And I do that because I want to experience a high quality service. And I think that even spending the money to go on a coach, when you know a lot of the answers, even parting with that money, when it comes to money mindset, as soon as you exchange that money for a coach, it is scary, because you think, oh my God, I could do this by myself.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. Yeah. I still get terrified now when I do it, but I love that, because that means that I know I'm going to get that investment times 10 back to me.
Yeah.
So actually, I challenge myself to go higher on my coaching prices. I want to be around the rooms that are really going to expand me, really going to stretch me, because it's going to make me a better coach as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like, if you don't invest, life moves so quick in business, life moves so quick in everything, that people are investing now. And if you don't invest, you're setting yourself up to just stay where you are, and everybody else will be overtaking you. And it's not about competition, but it's about growth, isn't it? And if everybody else is growing and you're not growing, then that's just you accepting that that's where you're staying. And that's fine for some people, but for somebody like you who wants that growth and who enjoys the growth and enjoys the movement and seeing what your full potential truly is. Like, for me, somebody put on their Instagram, actually, Jake, the other day, he put on a question of like, why do you do what you do? What is it that gives you that motivation? And for me, it's all about this that we spoke about. It's the enjoyment of seeing what is my true potential in life. How far can I push myself? What am I actually able to achieve before I die, basically? Like, it just excites me to think that I've got so much left of my life, and it's just the unknown of what it's going to unfold like, and I'm just so here for that. And if you can invest in services that from people who are what's the word, like just really so developed in that area, then they're going to help you tenfold, because like you say, you know it, but are you going to put it into action at the same pace? Are you going to put it into action in the same order that they recommend? Or have they got different approaches that you perhaps haven't yet tried in your business, or whatever it may be? And it's just exciting to have that like pushing hand, really, isn't it?
I think like when you get coaches, you're either exchanging a skill set like that you don't know, and you want to exchange a new skill set and you want to get there faster, or you want to be expanded and be in rooms with people who are going to make you think differently. It's a skill set, or both. And I've learnt that a lot. Like, the more that I surround myself with people who charge triple the price than me, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You know, like, I think I'm curious about everything. Or if I see somebody that has come from like literally a mum of 5 and like she's managed to build a business and she's done it by herself, I find that so interesting. When you surround yourself with people from different stories, different skill sets, you learn so much more.
100%.
Like you just said. And that time is the one thing that overrides money. Like, time, because the inevitable is going to happen, you know, so people value time, and that's why a lot of people do it over money, because if you can exchange something for time, it's a no-brainer for a lot of people.
Definitely. And you just touched on something actually that was also one of the questions about surrounding yourself with people who are going to support you on that journey, because obviously people are in a journey that often not a lot of people understand or kind of hold value to. Like, a business mindset, a business journey is something that has to come to the right person. Like, not everybody has that, do they? So what's kind of the impact that you've seen on that for yourself or for clients or what have you, in terms of who they surround themselves with?
I think, you know, like, if you do want to be a business owner and that is something that you want, or you are a business owner, it's you in control of your own money. So a lot of people come to it for that financial abundance. You're in control of your own time. But I think when it comes to like surrounding yourself with people as a business owner, I see so much people doing it by themselves, and they've actually done it for like 10 years or 5 years, and they've done it by themselves for so long, and oh my gosh, good on them. But as soon as, like, imagine going then into a room where you've just found out that people are doing it completely differently. You're having conversations and all of a sudden, like, your mind is like, whoa, I didn't even know all of this was true. You could essentially you could pivot so much more just from having an hour's conversation with people in a room. And like, surrounding yourself, I know that there's the saying of like, you become the average of the 5 people that are around you, but it's true. If you can't help it all the time, and I know that a lot of people are with family members or friends who are negative and who put people down unintentionally. They'll be working from their unconscious. No one's doing that intentionally. But if you make the decision to think, you know what, I'm either going to listen to podcasts, go on YouTube videos, I'm going to get a coach, I'm going to get a mentor, I'm going to get all of this, it is surprising. There's a saying, I don't know who says it, but it says all the best ideas come from a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's so true. They do.
And I guess on that part, like, you're diluting then, aren't you, the impact that those average 5 people, that those 5 people are going to average your outcome from. If you're listening to them, so say for example you've got 5 family members around you that are negative and what have you, then if you're then topping that up with podcasts and business mentors and colleagues and people in the same like mentorship or whatever, you're diluting the impact of those negative people, so you're actually increasing then the percentage of what your outcome is going to be. So it's taking control of what you can't change your family members, or you can't change your partners or whatever it may be.
No. Yeah, and you can. And a big thing, like I have clients who, you know, their family or their whoever do have that impact unintentionally, you know, and it's not the end of the world. That is just how they are. It's from, you know, we've got to remember generations above us have been through like huge recessions and they've been through a lot more, so they're going to have different opinions on things, which is fine. But what you get by doing that is you create a shield and you create that resilience. So even though you can hear it, you're not absorbing it. Like, you're not absorbing the information in, and because of that you can still take some really good action and not be running anything off scarcity. You're running it off like an empowerment stance, which is the goal.
So obviously we've had some really good conversations. When we first put out that we were going to be doing this podcast, we put on a questions box on Instagram. Some of them questions have been embedded into my earlier questions and even just our conversation. I don't think I've actually asked you any questions other than the first one. We've kind of just gone but yeah, we have covered them and they've all intertwined into each other. So we have covered some of the Instagram questions already. One that we haven't covered is quite specific to this person, but I think it will actually resonate with a lot of people as well who are in this world. So their question was, currently working a 9-to-5 corporate job, they've got a business idea but they just don't, they've got an idea that they have true belief in or excited for, but they don't know how to take the first step. What would kind of your first 3 top tips be on that, I guess, would be?
Oh, okay, so they have an idea, got a business idea, they're in a 9-to-5. So first of all, it's the belief in yourself, which we've spoke about before. Like, that's the core of it all. Like, do you believe in yourself? And also, what primal fear do you have? Because I guarantee it's probably, well, what about if it fails? That's probably the main one. So the first step that I'd probably say is, well, if it does fail, are you good enough to get another job? And if the answer is yes, okay, well, that's it. You know that you can take the step forward and overcome any form of judgment and failure or rejection, anything like that. And then I think the second part is, when you're at that stage of transitioning into a new role, you really just need to focus on 2 things: how good the offer or the product is that you want to do, and either test it with people at the beginning or even get some referrals and work for free for a while to build that up, to get some testimonials, to actually see if you like it to begin with. Sometimes it's an idea and let's put it to live and let's just try it a little bit. First of all, get that, because if you can get that social proof, that's going to be really good. Choose one marketing platform that you want to work from, whether that's a website, you want to use SEO, or whether that's Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, like whatever that looks like. Choose just one platform. You don't need to be on all 5 at the beginning.
It's a minefield.
Choose a platform, and I would then just invest in somebody who can help you take the next steps. If that's not in your budget, genuinely, all you need to do is figure out how can you get this service across to other people. What transformation are you giving? Remember, you're not selling a service or a product, you're selling a transformation. So if it's a product like jewellery or whatever, how are you going to market that so someone feels a certain way? Like, you see jewellery campaigns and they're on the beach, or they're at like a beach hut and it looks very vibey, very like that. And then you see others where they're in hotels and it's more like that high-end, luxurious and elegant. So you want to just capture the emotion of what you're trying to get from somebody. Just remember, it's emotions. And if you can get your marketing platform, you believe in yourself and you are going to be consistent on it, they're the 3 things that you need to do at the beginning.
Yeah, and I think it's massive, isn't it? Because it's all about just reminding yourself that it's not the end of the world. If it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. Life's always going to go on, and there's always other options. But I think one thing that you touch on is massive in terms of, do you actually enjoy it? Because people can sometimes be money driven in a sense of, so for example with online coaching, people can see that it can be a lucrative business, it can generate some really nice income, but then once they start doing it, they're actually like, oh, actually I'm good at it, but I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And if you've put in all the work in, you've got to enjoy it, because we spend so much of our time, whether you're in the corporate world 9 to 5 or whether you're self-employed, spend so much time working that what's the point in life if you're not actually enjoying what you're doing that whole time? So I think testing the waters before you actually start and before you actually jump in with 2 feet is massive for various different reasons, to make sure you're good at it for one, to make sure it's a strong business plan and it actually works and generates whatever you're trying to generate, but also to make sure you enjoy it. And I think that's a massive part of life. Like, I know a lot of people who've tried the online coaching world but actually not enjoyed it, and it's a massive thing, because you're doing it day in, day out, and if you're not enjoying it, then what is the point of life if you're not enjoying it genuinely?
Yeah, it's huge. And like you said, people chase what they think it's going to be like, and then it's nothing like that. And which is fine, you know, you want to test things, you want to get things going, but there's no harm if that person is in a situation where they can work part-time or work 2 at the same time. Like, I was in a position I could not, because of the role I had, I wasn't allowed to have a second job. So for me it was leave this very well paid job and take all the risk. I had to take all the risk, and then actually I spent all my savings on a coach. So I had nothing. And I took a I took a whole gamble on myself.
That is fully on yourself though, isn't it?
But if you can, if I could have had 2 jobs at the same time, I would have. Because financial security is really important. You want to run your business off feeling empowered, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. If you've got this expectation that you're going to be really successful in 6 months, like, that's a lot of pressure on yourself. Some people perform well under pressure and they can do it, but some people can't. I know that for me, I could have, because I've been in sales for so long. I've been used to that pressure. Some people aren't. So if financial security is a big thing, try and have 2 jobs, or save up, or make sure that your expectations on how long it takes to grow are reasonable. Yeah,
definitely. That moves on actually nicely to the last question that I'll ask from Instagram. What stage should you employ people, or what stage do you know you should employ people? So this comes from somebody who says that running a business all by themselves, it's going really good, but they've got absolutely no time to spare of their own. So I get you. Fully feel that one. So like, at what point do they need to start looking at growing the team, I guess?
So my rule of thumb is that the business owner at the beginning should be 100% in the business. They need to understand it. Then they need to start being 90% in the business, then 80%, 50, 40, and then eventually just working on the business. So that's the transition that a lot of business owners don't understand, that you need to step away and be working on the business growth, depending on how big you want it to go. And those transition periods are really hard. So if that person has said that they're really busy already and they're thinking of getting a team, I'm assuming that they want to grow. So now sounds like a good time. And if they've got nobody at the moment, I think the first thing that it's good to invest in is the thing that's going to give you the lowest return on investment. So a VA, admin, anyone that can edit your videos, anyone that can edit in tech, that it's going to save you a lot of time, not make you a lot of money, but it will save you time, and with your time you can then make money yourself.
So like, you can save time in terms of, instead of doing your own content, that gives you then more time to take on more clients, for example.
Exactly. And then the second kind of people that you should be investing in are people that are eventually going to make you more money. So that could look like team members, that could look like somebody who does the clarity calls instead of you, that could look like somebody who is actually out there doing the job and who is just as good as you. And I think when it comes to employment, there's two things that a lot of people don't understand. You have either got your soldiers who have been with you since day one. They're not necessarily clued up in the industry, and you've got to nurture them for a long time, but their work ethic is incredible. Like, they work really hard.
Yeah.
They are with you on your values, and they are with you through thick and thin. Like, they are your soldiers who you're probably going to be with forever, but it's a lot of time to nurture them because you've got to coach them, you've got to train them. A lot of people forget about the experts and bringing somebody in with a skill set that can get the job done quicker.
Yeah.
So you're not training them maybe for a little while, but then it's done, and then you can leave that person to their own devices. Yes, they are more expensive, but you can get the results quicker because they have a skill set that you don't have.
Yeah.
And I think having both of them people in your business is a recipe for success, because you don't want too many experts, you don't want too many, your values will go, the vision will go, everything will get a bit mucky. You don't want too many soldiers, because then you're doing everything, like you're the only expert with a lot of soldiers there, and that's really time consuming and a big headache. So you want the both.
Yeah.
So if that person can get some experts and some soldiers in and build them up, that would be perfect.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because I think I always kind of, basically as a self-employed person, you're HR, you're marketing, you're the actual like service lead, you're the CEO, the director, you're everything, social media manager, you're everything. Whereas if you're in the corporate world, you'll have a marketing team, you'll have a HR team, and you'll rely on them to know all the answers in one. Whereas when it's just yourself or just somebody with the same skill set as you, it's really heavy. It could take you a full day to work out one thing or to develop one thing that could take somebody else in that field literally 5 minutes. So I think it's really important to recognise that, doesn't it, in terms of your own limitations or in terms of your own thing, because basically goes back to the jack of all trades and the is it master of one or master of none? I don't even know. I can't even think.
Well, yeah, it is
it's
true.
Massive. It
is so true, and people with an extra skill set, you know, someone doesn't want to pay $5,000 for somebody to do something, but that's a very short term way of thinking. If that person can triple their return on investment, it's a long term decision to make. And what a lot of people do in the business, they have a team of 2 or whichever, and they're not willing to invest in anything above that, because the skill set gets higher as you go up. You need better people, you need people with that qualification who can get you there, and that skill set that can get you there. So yeah, massive. Oh, amazing. Thank you so much, Jess. It's been amazing having you, and I'm sure that people have kind of learned a lot from that and had a lot of insight from you. You've got so much more that you could say, and I could just stay here and speak to you all day, but time is going to be ticking. So thank you so much. It's been lovely, and I'm sure that everybody's enjoyed it. So I hope you've all enjoyed the podcast today with Jess Gould. And for anybody who doesn't already follow Jess on social media, do you want to share your little tags? I can't even... Yes, of course. So my Instagram is jessicacoaching.co, and yeah, that's all.
That's all. Focusing on one, like you just mentioned.
One,
just the one. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.